Hey everybody, this is Josh Goodman from the State Archives of Florida in Tallahassee. St. Johns County is marking its 200th anniversary this year, so we'd like to help celebrate that important milestone by sharing some of the fascinating historical records we have relating to St. Johns County right here at the State Archives and State Library of Florida. In today's segment, I'd like to focus on materials we have from Florida's territorial era, which lasted from the time Florida was acquired from Spain in 1821 to 1845 when Florida became a state. Now, one of my favorite kinds of historical records from this time period is the laws that were written by Florida's Territorial Legislative Council. As a brand new United States territory, the legislators had a lot of work to do creating territorial and county governments essentially from scratch. At their first meeting in 1822 in Pensacola, Florida's first legislators passed laws on everything from the boundaries of counties to taxes to when and how to hold elections, punishment for crimes, and how much officers should make for their work. The legislators also passed laws incorporating Florida's top two main towns at that time, Pensacola and St. Augustine. Now, the acts of the Territorial Legislative Council were printed each year, and digitized versions of those printed acts are available in the State Library's online catalog. We're going to show you those in just a moment. But the State Archives has something really cool I'd like for you to see. These are handwritten versions of those laws passed by the Territorial Legislative Council, and the State Archives has these going all the way back to the very first act that they passed, all the way back in 1822. And some of these we've made available, we've digitized them, and made them available on floridamemory.com, which is the State Archives online outreach portal. So, one of the ones that we have from 1822 that I thought would be particularly interesting to share with you is the original act incorporating the city of St. Augustine. So to get to these, I need to get to the Florida Memory website. So I go to my internet browser and type floridamemory.com in the address bar. Now, Florida Memory, unlike a lot of databases, is taxpayer supported, so you don't have to have a user account or a password or anything like that to use it. You just go right to the page, and here it is. Most of the original records are going to be under the Discover menu. So more than 200,000 photographs. We've got thousands and thousands and thousands of pages of historical records. We've got maps, audio recordings, and videos. Now, I happen to know what I'm looking for this time around, so I'm actually going to go straight to the search box over here on the top right-hand part of the screen. And I'm going to type in Act Incorporating St. Augustine. And then I can hit enter or click the magnifying glass icon. And that's going to run search on the database to try to find this act incorporating St. Augustine. And it'll take just a minute. There it goes. All right, here we go. Act incorporating the city of St. Augustine, approved September 13th, 1822. Now, if I click on that, it'll take me to a catalog record just for this item. And I can see the first page of the act right here. If I look in the top right-hand side of the screen, it shows me that there are actually a couple of pages to this act. And I can look at the second page. There it is. Now, these are small versions that you see here on the screen, but I can enlarge them by clicking on them. And that will take me to an enlargeable, zoomable version of the image right there. Check this out. There's William Pope Duval, governor of the Territory of Florida, signing this act incorporating the city of St. Augustine. Pretty cool stuff. Now, up underneath that, we've got other interesting information about the record. We've also got some buttons for sharing these items that you find on social media. You'll get some information about where exactly in the State Archives this object came from, a description, a date, people that this record is associated with, and some other attributes. And these links will allow you to go to other items in the database that have the same attributes. So, for example, we could go and take a look at all the legislative acts that have been digitized, all of the items having to do with politics and government, all the items from St. Augustine or St. Johns County. Now, it's important to note that if you look here in the breadcrumb trail, we are looking at an item in the Selected Documents collection on Florida Memory. And what that means is that we have not digitized every single legislative act. just like any record in the selective documents collection. We haven't digitized every single item of that type that you find in this collection. Rather, we thought this one was particularly important, so we selected it, digitized it, and made it available. There are, however, in the historical records section, if we back up to that, these are, for the most part, collections where we have digitized the entire collection that's here at the State Archives. For example, the 1845 election returns, the Albert S. Chalker papers, early automobile registrations between 1905 and 1917. All of these, for the most part, are collections where we have digitized the entire thing. The selected documents, that's just where we've kind of cherry-picked some stuff from collections where we just didn't do the whole collection. So there you go. That's how you get your hands on these. But what if you wanted to see legislative acts that we have not digitized the handwritten versions for? Or what if you wanted to see the print versions, the published versions, instead of the handwritten versions? Well, the best place to see that would be the State Library's online catalog, which you can get at library.florida.gov. So here we are on the State Library's online catalog. Lots of good information about the State Library here, collections that they have, bibliographies, all kinds of good stuff. But we want to search for the print versions of those legislative acts. So I'm going to type in Acts Legislative Council. What I'm doing is I'm typing in the most distinctive words in the title of the item that I'm looking for. That's going to bring me back what I want without giving me a whole lot of extraneous things. All right, so first acts of the Legislative Council. Here we go. Acts and resolutions of the Legislative Council of the Territorial Florida. Now, I can already tell that we have electronic access to these, but I want to click on the catalog records so you can see what we get there. You get the amount of stuff that's here. You get the range of dates that's covered. Lots of other good information. If we have print copies, you can find that out by looking here. See what all we have. But I want to go to the electronic access. So here we go. If I click on that link, it's going to bring me to a list of all the volumes of laws that we have from the Territorial Legislative Council. And I'm looking for the one from 1822. So I'm going to click on that. And it's going to take us to a really high-resolution PDF of those laws that were created by the 1822 Territorial Legislative Council. So it's going to take a minute to load because, again, these are really, really big. But the advantage of that is that if you want to use these for a project or something, you can zoom in on these pages really, really close or blow them up really big, and you don't have to worry about the resolution, it getting pixelated or something like that. All right, so the pages are starting to load. And so I think the first thing I want to do is look in the table of contents to see if I can find an act relating to the incorporation of the city of St. Augustine. And we'll give it a minute to load these pages up. All right, and here's the table of contents. And as I'm looking through here, I see, there we go, incorporating the city of St. Augustine. And that's going to be on page 86. So if I type page 86 in the PDF page browser right there and click enter, it's going to take me to page 86 in the document. And look at there. To incorporate, an act to incorporate the city of St. Augustine and improve the public roads in the neighborhood thereof. Now, some of you who are watching might be thinking, wait a minute, wasn't St. Augustine originally incorporated by Andrew Jackson in 1821? Yes, it was. And if you look, what's happening here is that when Andrew Jackson incorporated the city of St. Augustine in 1821, he did it by ordinance under his authority as military governor. When the Legislative Council met the next year, they actually repassed or sort of reauthorized a lot of the things that Governor Jackson had done so that the laws would apply under civil authority. And so you're going to see a lot of the things that happened under the Jackson administration, which was quite brief, be sort of reasserted under civil authority so that there was no question of its legality. So this is the first time that the city of St. Augustine was incorporated under civil American authority. because Florida didn't have a civil government until the spring of 1822 when it was provided for by Congress. All right, so that's how you would get to the print versions of these laws through the state library's catalog. But what are some other kinds of interesting historical records from the territorial era having to do with St. Johns County? Well, I would argue that one of the best ones are historical maps. I love maps. And we happen to have, on FloridaMemory.com, a very nice collection of historical maps dating all the way back to the Spanish colonial period. And if I go to FloridaMemory.com, look under Discover, and click on Maps, this will tell you a little bit about the collection. Most of the ones we have up right now come from the state library's Florida map collection rather than the state archives, but we're adding new ones all the time. And there are lots of ways to search this collection or browse it. I'm going to recommend for today's mission, so to speak, that we browse by coverage. And what that's going to let me do, what coverage means in the context of the Florida Memory website, is time period. All right? And as I look here, I've got a link just for all the maps that deal with territorial Florida. So I'm going to click on it. It's going to take a minute for the database to bring back a list of all the maps that we have online from the territorial era. And it looks like we've got 32 of them, so you're going to get to see St. Johns County at lots of different times over the course of the territorial era. But I want to show you my favorite. And that's this one from 1822, right after Florida becomes a United States territory. Take a look at this. Florida only had 2 counties at that time. The pink here is Escambia County, with Pensacola as the county seat, and the yellow is St. Johns County, with St. Augustine as the county seat. And it goes all the way from the St. Mary's River up here on the Georgia border in the north, all the way down, in theory, to Key West. And I'm really glad I didn't live in Tampa Bay or Key West at this time, because that'd be a really long way to go for jury duty. But anyway, now this is kind of small, so of course we're going to want to zoom in a little bit. And all you got to do is just take the wheel of your mouse and just kind of zoom in, and you'll go as far as you can. Different maps will zoom in to different levels, just depending on what resolution the original map was in. We can also toggle a full page view of the map. That's going to help. And then just like the catalog record for the act incorporating St. Augustine, you're going to have some information down here in the catalog record about this map, its scale, who created it, its date, that kind of thing. And another handy thing, if you want to download a nice high-resolution JPEG of the map, you can do that with the download button right here. Now, the things that you find on Florida Memory are in the public domain, which means that you can use them without any kind of special licensing or getting special permission. These maps and photographs and historical records are great for students who are working on Florida History Day projects. If you're writing a book or putting together a historical exhibit, these are really wonderful resources to use for that kind of project. And as you can see, we got a lot of different kinds of maps that you can use for those projects. Okay, so we've looked at legislative acts dealing with early St. Johns County time period. We've looked at historical maps. I want to show you another kind of record that we're working on right now. This is not one that is available yet on the Florida Memory website. However, it is one that will be made available on Florida Memory very soon, we hope. And it's one that I think is particularly useful, not only for historical research on St. Johns County and other Florida counties, but also genealogical research as well. And that is the tax rolls. So let me change my view here. And what you're looking at here is one page out of the 1830 tax roll for St. Johns County. So what is a tax roll? Every year, the county tax assessor assesses the taxable value and the taxable activities of each person in the county and documents all of those valuations down. And then the tax collector goes and collects the revenue. Some of it goes to the county, some of it goes to the state. The documentation of property that each person in the county owns and what its value is, that's called the tax roll. And while for modern day tax rolls, you can go to your You can go to your courthouse officials in your county to get that information. Oftentimes they won't have the tax rolls going back into the 1800s. The State Archives, however, has a collection of these that go from roughly the 1820s up through the late 1880s, and a couple that go as late as the 1890s. And so just to give you an idea of what exactly these have on there, first of all, you're going to have a list of all the heads of household in the county. And then over on this side, you're going to have all the things they were being taxed for. Sometimes it's going to be things they were taxed for. Sometimes it's activities. So under the things category, we've got things like four-wheel carriages, town lots, land in 3 different categories, first, second, and third rate. And because we are looking at the antebellum era, you're going to see that slaves are being taxed. Now, there are also activities that somebody could be taxed for. Things like merchandisers or retailers of spirituous liquors or billiard tables, tavern keepers. If you were a free person of color, you had to pay a tax for being a free person of color. And so these are really great for genealogists because unlike federal census records, tax roll records are created every single year because the government's going to charge taxes every year. All right. They're also good for historical purposes because you can very quickly go through and see who the store owners were. For example, we've got Margaret Cook right here who's being taxed for $15,000 worth of mercantile business during the course of the year. We can also go through and very quickly determine who the free people of color were in St. Johns County in this particular year. So very useful stuff. Now, if these are not available on Florida Memory yet, how can you get your hands on them right now? Well, FamilySearch.org provides access to copies of the tax rolls that were digitized from microfilm. The LDS Church microfilmed all of these back in the 1960s and 70s, and copies that they've digitized copies of that microfilm, and they've made it available on FamilySearch.org. The only problem is that microfilm, those microfilm images sometimes don't have the best contrast in the world, so they can be kind of hard to read. And also, we found at least 1 or 2 cases where a tax roll that we have in the original at the State Archives somehow did not make it into the microfilm format. So what we're doing is we're going to rescan all of those tax rolls, index them, and make them available on FloridaMemory.com in full living color. But until then, you can either get to the version on FamilySearch.org, which you can create a free account to use. That's super easy. Or you can request a copy of the nice color originals from the State Archives of Florida. But how do you know which tax rolls the State Archives has for a particular county? Well, to do that, you need to look at the State Archives online catalog. So let's go over to our internet browser, and we'll go to archivescatalog.info.florida.gov. That is the State Archives online catalog. Now, what this is going to give you, these are listings of all the collections and all the folders, boxes and folders within collections at the State Archives. It's not the same as Florida Memory. It's not going to give you the images of all those records, but it will at least give you a listing of the records so you know what we have and what we don't have. So if I'm looking for tax rolls, I'm going to type tax rolls, okay? And I'm going to search at the series collection level. So these are like whole batches of materials. I'm looking for a whole batch of materials called tax rolls. So that's why I'm searching at this level. And by the way, I put my search terms in quotation marks because I don't want every collection that has to do with tax or every collection that has to do with rolls. I want the phrase tax rolls to be in these collections. So what I'm getting here, I've got 8 records, and all of these either have tax rolls in the title or in the description. And if I look at the third one here, I get series S28, which is Florida Comptroller's Office tax rolls 1829 to 1898. That's exactly what I want. And if I click on that, I'm going to get a catalog record for that collection. Wow, 127 cubic feet of records. That's a lot of material. If I click on this little yellow folder right here that says See Associated Items, it's going to take me to a listing of all the boxes and folders inside this collection. And as you can see, the tax rolls are listed alphabetically by county and then chronologically by year. So I'm going to keep moving forward in these search results until I get to St. Johns County. And here we go. Here's a listing of all the tax rolls that we have for St. Johns County. Once you have this information, the series number, the box number, and then of course you can see which years we have tax rolls for, if you contact the State Archives Reference Desk and say, I'd like to have a copy of the tax roll from St. Johns County for 1869 or 1848 or everything from 1852 to 1856, the reference archivist will be able to help you with that. You can also request just a single page out of there. Say, I want the pages showing Margaret Acosta in St. Johns County from 1829 to 1835. We can take care of that request too. All right, so now we've looked at 3 kinds of really cool territorial era documents dealing with St. Johns County. We've looked at territorial legislative council acts, we've looked at historical maps, and we've looked at tax rolls. So the last thing I want to leave you with is a question that you might be having right now is, why is it that all of these very local records have ended up at the state archives? Well, it's important to keep in mind that, you know, there's a common misconception about the state archives of Florida or any state, that the state archives must only collect things that have to do strictly with what's going on in Tallahassee, things that are happening in the legislature and things that are happening in all those state agencies that operate in Tallahassee. But you got to keep in mind that what those state agencies are doing pretty much all the time has to do with issues and problems and things that are happening at the local level, things that are happening to individual counties, individual cities and towns and communities, and yes, even individual families and organizations and people. And for that reason, the State Archives actually has a lot that deals with things that are going on at the local level. And the best way I can think of to kind of demonstrate that is to search for an individual county in the State Archives catalog here. So I've put St. Johns County in quotation marks because I want to search for it as a phrase. All right. And I'm going to change that to 50 because I want to see lots of results all at one time, if I can get them. And I'm searching again at the series and collection level. So I'm searching for entire batches of records that have St. Johns County either in the title or in the description. And here they are. I've got, let's see, United States Direct Tax Refund Records, Historic St. Augustine Preservation Board admin files. I've got a branch of the Barnett Bank that apparently was in the St. Johns River area. We've got several collections of photographs, but I've only got 8 search results. Wonder what I could do to fix this. St. Johns County Survey Records from the Florida Folklife Program. I wonder what I could do to change this. Well, let me give you a couple of pointers. First of all, what if we tried searching for St. Johns County with the word Saint spelled out? Let's see if that makes any difference. Oh, wow. 29 records instead of 8. So let's see what else we're getting now. Okay. State Land Office, Mental Health Board of HRS, District 4. We're getting census records. We're getting delayed birth certificates from Hillsborough County. That's interesting. That's probably because Hillsborough was split off from St. Johns at one point, from territory that had been St. Johns originally. Same thing with Monroe County here, Putnam County. Now here's some stuff from St. Johns, deed records, marriage records, probate and court records, and so on and so forth. And look, now we're getting some family papers. Looks like these are families that had some kind of connection to St. Johns County. Okay. But still, 29 records for such a big and important county as St. Johns. There's got to be more. Well, let's try this again. Let's look for St. Johns County, but let's not search at the whole series collection level. Let's search at the container file unit level. which is actually just really fancy archive speak for box and folder. So now what I'm looking for is I want to see every instance of St. Johns County in the title or description of a box or a folder, which could be in a collection on anything, not just St. Johns County. Let's see what we get. Wow, 374 items this time. So let's see what we're getting here. Let's just kind of browse through and look at what we've got. Okay, we've got Governor Reuben Askew appointment recommendation files from the 70s, St. Johns County. We've got farther down, Florida State Road Department county maps from 1949 to 1965, St. Johns County. Correspondence of Governor Doyle Carlton, 1929 to 1933, St. Johns County. And so on and so forth. We've got, look at this, there's the tax rolls we were looking at earlier. So there's that. What else do we think we might have here? Let's see. Voter registration rolls from St. Johns County, 1867 to 68. We actually have those on Florida Memory. So there's those. So there's just all kinds of stuff. It goes to show you, as you look through the results here, that there's all kinds of local history records that are located here at the State Archives of Florida. The last thing I want to leave you with here is some contact information in case you have questions about the things we've talked about today or anything else you might happen to find on Florida Memory or in the State Archives online catalog. This is the phone number and email address for the State Archives Reference Desk. We are open to take phone and email inquiries from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. every weekday except for state holidays. Here also are the addresses of some of the databases that we talked about today. So I hope you'll take advantage of all this. Happy 200th anniversary, St. Johns County, and we look forward to hearing from you right here at the State Archives and State Library of Florida.